Does the hum of the modern world ever feel loud? A relentless barrage of information, notifications, an endless scroll promising connection, yet often delivering a peculiar kind of isolation. It's a pressure, isn't it? A weight many of us carry without even naming it. What if the noise isn't new, only its form, its intensity amplified beyond what our ancient minds were designed to process? So, how does one achieve this coveted state of tranquility in a world seemingly designed to disrupt it? Epicurus offered a surprisingly straightforward, yet profoundly effective, framework. It begins with understanding the true nature of our desires and fears, and learning to manage them with wisdom and prudence. It's about subtracting the unnecessary to amplify the essential. Epicurus categorized desires into three types: natural and necessary, natural but unnecessary, and vain and empty. Natural and necessary desires include things like basic food, water, shelter, and companionship, things crucial for survival and well-being. Fulfilling these leads to genuine contentment and is relatively easy to achieve. Natural but unnecessary desires include things like gourmet food, luxurious homes, or extravagant experiences. While these can be enjoyable, Epicurus cautioned that they are not essential for happiness and can often lead to anxiety if we become too attached to them or strive excessively for them. The key is moderation and appreciation without dependence. Vain and empty desires are those for fame, power, immense wealth, or immortality. These, Epicurus argued, are unnatural and unlimited, and therefore can never be truly satisfied. Chasing them is a recipe for constant frustration, anxiety, and a life lived in perpetual unease. They are the mirages in the desert of our desires, promising fulfillment but delivering only thirst. The practical wisdom here is revolutionary, especially today. By focusing on satisfying our natural and necessary desires and cultivating an appreciation for simple pleasures, we drastically reduce the sources of potential anxiety. It's not about deprivation, but about liberation from the tyranny of endless wanting. This distinction is a cornerstone of achieving ataraxia. Another pillar of Epicurean tranquility is the management of fear, particularly the fear of death and the fear of divine retribution. Epicurus, drawing from the atomistic theories of Democritus, argued that death is simply the cessation of sensation and consciousness. Therefore, it is nothing to us, for when we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we do not exist. As for the gods, Epicurus believed they existed, but were too perfect and blissful to be concerned with human affairs. They were not vengeful or capricious beings to be feared, but rather models of perfect tranquility to be emulated. This understanding aimed to free individuals from superstitious dread and the anxiety of trying to appease unknowable divine whims. By diminishing these two great fears, death and divine meddling, Epicurus sought to clear the mental space for peace. Imagine the relief of truly internalizing that death is not to be feared, and that the universe is not actively conspiring against you. This is not nihilism, but a profound acceptance that allows for a more joyful engagement with life itself. Central to Epicurean life was friendship. For Epicurus, friendship was one of the greatest pleasures and a vital component of a happy life. Not a vast network of superficial connections, but deep, meaningful bonds built on trust, mutual respect, and shared philosophical inquiry. Friends provide support, intellectual stimulation, and a sense of belonging, all crucial for ataraxia. In our hyperconnected yet often lonely world, this emphasis on genuine human connection is more relevant than ever. Epicurus understood that true happiness is rarely found in isolation. The shared laughter, the supportive ear, the intellectual sparring, these are not luxuries but necessities for a flourishing, tranquil mind. This is a powerful antidote to the curated loneliness of social media. This isn't a modern affliction alone. The search for inner quiet for a mind untroubled by the storms of life is an ancient human quest. It's a longing woven into our very fabric, a deep-seated need for something more than just coping. We seek a genuine, lasting peace, a sanctuary within ourselves, especially when the world outside feels chaotic and demanding. This isn't just about surviving the day, it's about truly living with intention. So how do we translate these ancient principles into practical tools for today? The first step is introspection. Take a moment right now to consider your desires, which are truly necessary for your well-being, which are natural but perhaps sources of stress if pursued excessively, and which are vain and empty, fueled by societal pressure or comparison. This honest self-assessment is crucial. Consider the information you consume. Is it nourishing your mind, or is it a source of anxiety and agitation? Epicurus would likely advise a radical curation of your inputs. Unfollow, unsubscribe, disconnect. Protect your mental space as fiercely as you would protect your physical home. The peace you gain from this digital decluttering can be immediate and profound. Practice gratitude for simple pleasures. The taste of fresh water when you're thirsty, the warmth of the sun on your skin, a quiet moment with a loved one, the beauty of nature. These are the bedrock of Epicurean happiness. By consciously appreciating these small, readily available joys, we cultivate a mindset of abundance rather than lack. This isn't Pollyannish, it's a strategic cultivation of joy. When anxieties about the future arise, as they inevitably do, recall Epicurus's counsel. Distinguish between what is within your control and what is not. Focus your energy solely on the former. For the latter, practice acceptance. This is not passive resignation but an active choice to conserve your mental energy for productive action, rather than wasteful worry. Limit exposure to things that stoke vain desires. The endless parade of curated perfection on social media, the relentless advertising promising happiness through consumption. These are the modern architects of discontent. Epicurus would encourage a conscious withdrawal from these arenas, creating space for genuine self-worth to flourish, independent of external validation or material possessions. This is an act of rebellion for your peace. Cultivate true friendships. Invest time and energy in relationships that are reciprocal, supportive, and intellectually stimulating. Share your thoughts, your vulnerabilities, and your joys. In an increasingly fragmented world, these anchors of human connection are not just pleasant, they are essential for mental resilience and long-term well-being. Choose quality over quantity always. The Epicurean approach is not about escaping the world, but about navigating it with greater wisdom and less friction. It's about understanding that true contentment comes not from an abundance of possessions or achievements, but from an abundance of inner peace. This is a state of being that is actively cultivated, not passively waited for. It requires mindful choices every single day. One might ask, is this philosophy selfish? To focus so much on one's own tranquility, Epicurus would argue no. A person free from anxiety and agitation is better equipped to be a good friend, a compassionate citizen, and a positive presence in the world. Inner peace radiates outwards, influencing those around us in subtle but powerful ways. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Think of this practice as mental hygiene. Just as we care for our physical health, we must also tend to our mental well-being. Epicurean principles offer a practical regimen for this, decluttering desires, managing fears, and nourishing the soul with simple pleasures and genuine connections. It's a proactive stance against the mental static of modern life. It is an act of self-preservation. The beauty of Epicureanism lies in its accessibility. It doesn't require expensive retreats, complex rituals, or adherence to dogma. It requires only a willingness to reflect, to choose consciously, and to prioritize inner peace above the noise. The tools are simple: your own mind, your own choices, and your own capacity for appreciating the present moment. Imagine for a moment that the key to this profound tranquility, this mental liberation, isn't found in the next technological breakthrough or self-help trend. What if it lies hidden in plain sight, whispered through the ages by a philosopher whose name is often misunderstood, whose wisdom offers a surprisingly simple yet radically effective path to navigate our complex lives? a path you might not realize you've been desperately seeking. This philosophy offers an immediate counter-narrative to the relentless pressure to hustle, to accumulate, to be constantly on. It grants permission to slow down, to savor, to simply be. In a culture that often glorifies busyness and burnout, the Epicurean call to tranquility is not just refreshing. It is a vital act of self-care and reclamation. Consider the anxiety generated by the fear of missing out, FOMO. Epicurus provides a direct antidote, the joy of missing out, JOMO. By understanding that true satisfaction comes from within and from simple, attainable pleasures, the allure of what others are doing, or what we could be doing, significantly diminishes. We find contentment where we are. The pursuit of ataraxia is not a one-time achievement but an ongoing practice, a way of orienting oneself in the world. There will still be challenges, anxieties will still arise, but armed with these principles, we have a framework for navigating them with greater equanimity and resilience. We develop an inner compass that consistently points towards peace. This philosophy doesn't promise a life devoid of all difficulty, for that would be unrealistic. Instead, it offers a way to minimize self-inflicted suffering, the suffering that comes from unchecked desires, irrational fears, and a constant striving for what is unnecessary or unattainable. It's about lightening the load we carry. The profound insight of Epicurus is that much of our modern stress is not an inevitable byproduct of life, but a consequence of a misaligned value system. By realigning our values towards simple pleasures, genuine connections, and inner peace, we can fundamentally alter our experience of the world, finding joy and tranquility even amidst its inevitable complexities. This isn't about asceticism or rejecting all material comfort. It's about prudence and perspective. Enjoy the good things life offers, but don't become enslaved by them. The goal is freedom, freedom from anxiety, freedom from fear, freedom from the ceaseless demands of a consumerist culture. This freedom is the highest pleasure. One powerful, immediate application is in our relationship with technology. Before you scroll, before you click, ask, will this bring me closer to tranquility or will it agitate my mind? This simple question, rooted in Epicurean thought, can be a game changer for digital well-being. It's about intentional engagement rather than mindless consumption. Another practical step is to schedule Epicurean moments into your day. This could be as simple as savoring a cup of tea without distraction, taking a short walk in nature, or having a meaningful conversation with a friend. These are not indulgences. They are investments in your mental peace, small deposits in your bank of tranquility. When faced with a difficult decision or a source of stress, try the Epicurean calculus. Which course of action will lead to the most sustainable pleasure and the least pain or disturbance in the long run? This isn't about immediate gratification, but about wise, long-term well-being. It's a shift from reactive emotion to proactive peace-seeking. The teachings of Epicurus resonate powerfully with other wisdom traditions, such as Stoicism and Buddhism, which also emphasize inner peace, detachment from fleeting desires, and the importance of living in accordance with nature. This convergence suggests a universal truth about the human condition and the pathways to genuine flourishing. We're not talking about fleeting happiness or a temporary escape. We're talking about a fundamental shift in perspective, a recalibration of what truly matters, leading to a state of serene contentment known to the ancients. A state so powerful, it could render the anxieties of our hyperconnected world almost irrelevant. This isn't about adding more to your life, but about uncovering something essential within, something timeless. For instance, the Stoic practice of praemeditatio malorum, or premeditating on potential misfortunes, can be seen as a way to reduce fear and anxiety, aligning with Epicurus's goal of ataraxia. By mentally preparing for adversity, we lessen its psychological impact, much like Epicurus sought to lessen the fear of death by understanding its true nature. Both aim for an unflappable mind. Similarly, mindfulness practices, with roots in Buddhist philosophy, encourage a non-judgmental awareness of the present moment, which helps to detach from anxious thoughts about the past or future. This directly cultivates a state of mind conducive to ataraxia, appreciating the simple isness of experience, a core Epicurean value. The message is clear. The wisdom needed to navigate our complex modern lives is not necessarily new. It is often ancient, tested by time and waiting to be rediscovered. Epicurus offers one such potent key, a philosophy not of grand metaphysical speculation, but of practical, everyday living aimed at achieving a tranquil and joyful existence. This is its enduring power. It's crucial to remember that Epicurus did not advocate for a life of lazy inaction or withdrawal from societal responsibilities. Rather, he suggested a prudent engagement, choosing involvements that align with one's pursuit of tranquility and avoiding those that would needlessly disturb it. It is about wise participation, not total retreat. The challenge, then, is to integrate this wisdom into the fabric of our daily routines, to make it a living philosophy rather than an abstract concept. This means conscious effort, repeated practice, and a gentle redirection of our thoughts and actions when we find ourselves straying from the path of inner peace. It is a commitment to our own well-being. Imagine a life where your default state is calm, where anxiety is a fleeting visitor rather than a constant companion, where joy is found in the simple, everyday moments. This is not a utopian dream but a tangible possibility offered by Epicurus. It is the fruit of a mind cultivated for tranquility, a life lived with intention and wisdom. The legacy of Epicurus is not found in grand monuments or political power, but in the quiet contentment of those who have embraced his teachings. It's a subtle revolution, an internal shift that has the power to transform our experience of life from one of constant struggle to one of profound, enduring peace. This is the real treasure. So, as we navigate the currents of the 21st century with all its pressures and distractions, let us remember this ancient voice counseling simplicity, friendship, and the pursuit of ataraxia. It is a philosophy that doesn't demand we change the world, but rather that we change our relationship to it, finding our anchor within. This is a strength that no external chaos can diminish. Key takeaways: understand and manage your desires, focusing on the natural and necessary. Cultivate freedom from fear, especially of death and the unknowable. Prioritize genuine friendship and simple pleasures. And above all, actively seek ataraxia, a state of serene, untroubled existence. These are not mere suggestions, but pathways to a deeply fulfilling life. This wisdom, though ancient, feels urgently needed today. It offers a profound counterpoint to the prevailing narratives of endless growth, constant striving, and the pursuit of fleeting, external validation. It reminds us that the deepest wellsprings of happiness are often found in the quiet simplicity of a life lived with awareness and inner peace. This isn't just another philosophical lecture. This is an exploration of a practical toolkit, a way of thinking and living that offers immediate relief and enduring strength. What if one forgotten principle could unlock a resilience you didn't know you possessed, a quiet joy that the digital cacophony cannot touch? The answers are closer, and perhaps far more profound than you think. We delve into the heart of this forgotten wisdom now. The philosophy you didn't know you needed might just be the one that has been waiting patiently for millennia to be rediscovered. As you move forward from this exploration, consider this. What one small change, inspired by Epicurus, can you make today to cultivate a little more tranquility in your own life? The journey to ataraxia begins with a single, conscious step. In an age of unprecedented technological advancement, it's a profound irony that we often turn to ancient wisdom for solace. The challenges may wear different masks: digital distraction instead of barbarian raids, information overload instead of famine. But the human heart's desire for peace, for ataraxia, remains unchanged. This Greek term, often translated as imperturbability or tranquility, is our destination. Our guide on this journey is Epicurus, a philosopher born in Samos in 341 BCE. His name, unfortunately, has been widely misappropriated, often associated with hedonism and excessive indulgence. But the reality of his teachings is far more nuanced, far more practical, and infinitely more relevant to our modern struggles than such caricatures suggest. He sought not wild pleasure, but a stable, peaceful existence. Epicurus founded a school in Athens known as the Garden. It wasn't a grand academy, but a simple, welcoming space where friends gathered to discuss philosophy and live according to its principles. This was radical at the time, a sanctuary away from the political turmoil and social pressures of the city, dedicated to cultivating inner peace. It was open to all, including women and slaves, which was highly unusual. The core of Epicurean philosophy is the pursuit of ataraxia, freedom from mental disturbance, and aponia, the absence of physical pain. He believed that pleasure was the highest good, but not the fleeting, titillating pleasures that often lead to more pain. Instead, he championed simple, sustainable pleasures, the joy of friendship, the satisfaction of knowledge, and the peace of a mind free from fear and anxiety.